Hi there and welcome to the Canva Classroom. In today's class, we're going to be looking at how we create Reels quickly and simply using Canva. The key takeaways that you're going to have after you've listened to today's class are the following. Firstly, you're going to understand what the key features of Reels are. Secondly, I'm going to explain to you some content pillars that will give you some ideas on how to create Reels. And finally, you're going to understand how to use templates in Canva to quickly create your own Reels. Now, if you haven't met me, my name is Sarah and I am the owner and founder of Online Social Butterfly. I started my business back in 2011, so I've been going for quite a few years now. And prior to that, I worked in corporate marketing and communications across a range of different companies, originating here in Perth in Australia. I lived in Sydney for quite a few years, and then I also lived in London where I did consulting, and I was lucky enough to meet my husband, who is a Kiwi, whilst I was there. I do have a lot of qualifications and I'm not going to read them out, but what you can surmise from this is I love marketing. It is absolutely my life's passion, and I get very excited about the fact that my job is to help small business owners just like you show up and do a better job of your marketing online. If you'd like to connect with me, my favorite places to hang out are Facebook and Instagram. And since this class is all about Instagram Reels, maybe you can connect with me there. I'm Online Social Butterfly. If you do create a reel from today's classroom, I would love for you to tag my account, share it with me. I love seeing what it is that you've created. I get very excited when people take action on the learnings that they have. So please don't be shy. Let me know how you've got on and tag me if you create a reel using today's class. So let's talk content on Instagram and what it is that we're required to do, because there have been quite a few changes in the last few years and it can become quite confusing. So the first type of content that we have is our traditional posts, and these posts are what we would typically put up that go into people's news feeds and then end up on our grid as their permanent home. Now, this type of content is still really important, and it is typically about photos, carousels of different images, and a video. Now, we recently saw Instagram sort of do away with IGTV, but we still want to be using videos on Instagram if we can. And if we create video content, it will now go out into our normal news feed. But when it comes back to your profile, there is now a section for videos where they will be stored and retained. And any piece of video content that is longer than 3 seconds will be stored in that sort of video section on your profile. And when it comes to video content, what I'd like you to think about is how can you tell something with video better than you can with still images or carousels of images? And this is often storytelling, brand information, product tips, and sort of how-to videos. I love those. Now, lives are still an important part of content, and I'll be honest, I probably don't do as many lives on Instagram as I should, but lives are really, when would you want to create a piece of video content where you want your audience to be able to interact with you? So in the moment, I'm streaming live and you are able to see me as I'm speaking, no pre-recording. Now, this is where you want people's immediate feedback. So think about if you are launching a product, sharing some news, or you're running a Q&A where you want people to interact with you in the moment. When it comes to stories, these are very much that fun, disposable content where people want to know, what are you doing right now? What's a little bit about who you are, what's happening behind the scenes, who is the person behind the brand. Now, the good thing about stories is that they're currently broken up into up to a maximum of 60 seconds, and you have 4 15-second stories that make up a 60-second clip. Now, they can still be static images when you're creating stories. You don't have to have video content, and there are lots of features within Instagram that you can use when you're creating your stories. And the exciting thing that's been added is the ability to add a hyperlink in your story to send people to the piece of content that you're promoting. And for those of us, that was pretty exciting because typically you had to have more than 10,000 followers to be able to have that link feature. So pretty exciting change. The final piece of content is, of course, Reels, which is what we are talking about today. And Reels can be 15, 30 or 60-second video-only content. And it's where you have different functionalities, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. So what makes a reel? And it can be a little bit confusing, particularly with stories and reels being reasonably similar. So with Reels, the idea came from TikTok. So if you want to see where Reels started, please go and have a look at TikTok. I've got 2 teenage sons in my house, so they love TikTok. And it's quite handy to have them because they're always telling me what music is trending, which is really, really handy. So if you want to kind of get an idea of where they started, TikTok is its home base. And it was very much dancing and singing and that kind of fun, very much movement-based content. And in September 2020, Instagram thought that concept was so good, they basically just duplicated and they didn't make anything very different. So what do we know about the Reels and the video content that they are? They are always in portrait mode, which is the way we naturally hold our phone. And it's important to understand that we never want to be holding our phone landscape. The video content can be 15, 30 or 60 seconds, which is quite a lengthening of it when they moved it from 30 to 60 seconds, which gives you the opportunity to talk a little bit longer to your audience. You have the ability in the app to stop and start your video, which is really, really important because you can add that splicing feature where people can do those changes of this is me now, and then they do a change and they stop then start their video. So really, really interesting. You'll also have the ability to speed up and slow down your videos. So again, lots of fun that you can have with that. One of the key features is the capacity to add music, and music is a very important part of your reel, and I'll be talking about that a little bit more towards the end. You can also add other features with text and other kind of little GIFs and things, the same as you can with stories within the Instagram app. All right. So before you start with Reels, here's a little bit of advice for you. I want you to watch from the sidelines. So go into Instagram, jump onto that little Reels icon and watch some Reels. It's really, really interesting to see what it is that people are doing. And I have to be honest, when Reels first came out, I was like, I don't want to do these. This is not who I am. If you haven't met me, and hopefully you could tell from a photo, I'm a middle-aged woman, okay? And I have 2 teenage sons who look awesome jumping around and pointing and being silly. I feel like that is not who I am. So when Reels first came out, I actually really struggled because obviously I work in the digital space, and I just thought, I can't see myself doing that. It feels really awkward. And I feel like when I watch other middle-aged women pointing or dancing, they look awkward and I feel awkward with them. So when you're watching what other people are doing, remember, we don't have to do things that do not feel authentic to who we are. And I actually held back on creating Reels for that exact reason. It didn't feel right. It didn't resonate with who I am. It didn't feel like this is who Sarah from Online Social Butterfly is. And one of the things that I talk about a lot in my business is saying to people, the best way you can show up in socials is consistently and authentically. And if I was to jump out there and start doing something that felt very unnatural, it would be very hard for me to tell you this is what you should do, but I'm not doing that. So watch from the sidelines, have a look at people and what they're doing. I would also like you to go and have a look at people that are your competitors and what are they doing with Reels? How are they using them? Remember, there are no new ideas, so it's completely fine to steal other people's ideas. But what I want you to do is make it your own. So if you see a piece of content like, oh, that's a really great idea, that's a good thing to share, how can you do that in a way that feels authentic to you and to your brand? Okay, and I'm constantly looking at what other people are doing and saying, does that feel like me? Does that feel like something that I can do? How could I make that look like that was Sarah? So always keep that in mind. I then want you to have a think about your audience and what do you know about them. Think about what would they like to know? How could you help them? And what would they find useful, interesting, or fun? Okay, really, really important that you think about those things. So when it comes to content, we often talk about content pillars. And if you've heard of content pillars before, they're sometimes talked about as 6 content pillars. My preference is for 4 content pillars, and these are the ones that we're going to be talking about. Content typically fits into one of these 4 categories. And it's really good to think about these categories because when you're creating content, I want you to think about what are you actually doing when it comes to connecting with your audience. So the first type of content that you have is that entertains. So this is obviously people straight away go to bloopers and epic fails, that kind of thing. But I want you to think about it more in terms of you being real and how you can relate to your audience. And this is a very fast way for you to connect with people. So when you're entertaining, thinking about what makes you you and what will people relate to? So I could probably do a reel and make total fun of people pointing, because anyone who follows me knows that I hate that. I think it's really awkward, and it would be really, really funny to do that. So that could be a little bit of fun. When it comes to education, this is really what gets people engaged with you, and it also helps them understand that you are an expert in what it is that you do. So I love quick tips. I know that my audience is busy business owners, and if I can create a reel or a little video that says, hey, here's an idea that you can implement, and tell them in 30 seconds and they go away and implement it, I get very excited by that, and I know my audience does too. Do not be afraid of education, because we don't give away our IP for free, our intellectual property. We actually demonstrate our expertise and we solidify our position as an expert. And this is something that I've really warmed up to over the years, and I find the more I give away, the more people buy from me. So don't be afraid of that. When it comes to inspiring content, I think that we have moved on from those kind of quotes and memes, thank goodness. I want you to push this a little bit harder and think about things like case studies, testimonials, stories of success and challenges that people have faced along the way. Anything that helps people understand your customer journey and how you help people. The final kind of content that we look at, and this is often overlooked because we think social media is about being social, and in reality, we are running businesses. So if we are not selling and trying to convert, we are not running a business, okay? So do not be afraid of this. It is completely fine to create a great reel saying, so I do a lot on Facebook ads, and I can have a reel saying, why shouldn't you boost a post? Here's the reasons why. And at the end say, if you found this helpful, why not sign up for my Facebook Ads Made Simple course? So it's completely fine to do that. Do not be afraid to have content that asks for a conversion, okay? If you give great value on those other 3 pillars, people will be happy to see your conversion content. Now, these 4 ideas, if you had time to pause it now, it would be great to write down some ideas for reels that you could create, that you could say, oh yes, what do I want to talk about with this? And kind of just, I always start with some ideas when I'm creating my reels in Canva. I hate starting from scratch. So when it comes to creating a reel, all right, it is really important to understand that the reel is always added in Instagram. So we are going to create it in Canva today. I'm going to show you how to do that. Once you have created your reel in Canva, and we'll be using the desktop version of Canva, not the app, you download it to the Canva app on your phone, okay? And then you download it to save it into your photos. You then go into Instagram pressing the plus button, and then you choose Reels as the type of content that you would like to add. You then add your Canva video, and this is really, really important. You want to add your music and other features within Instagram. It is really, really important that you consider adding music in Instagram, because trending music helps your reel get more reach. It will push it out to bigger audiences. So whilst we can add music in Canva, it is always my recommendation that you add the music in Instagram and find out what music is trending. And once you've done all of that, your last step is to post it and send it out to the world. So that is the process that we're going to be getting you to understand today. So we're now going to jump over into Canva, and I'm going to be showing you how we can create a reel really quickly and simple. So if you just hold tight, I'm going to open my Canva web browser. Now, as you can see, we're now on the home screen of Canva, and I'm logged into my Canva account. Now, this class does assume that you have a working knowledge of Canva. If you get lost for some reason, please check your emails, because I will have sent you with this email a link to purchase the Canva Classroom at a really good price. And the Canva Classroom goes through starting out with Canva, setting up your brand kit, understanding the basics and how to use Canva. So if you're feeling a bit lost, I would recommend you go and check out that and purchase the Canva Classroom. It's a bundle of 4 classes. It will certainly get you feeling very confident, so that when it comes to creating reels, you're not feeling overwhelmed or lost. So we're on the home screen now, and we have a few choices when it comes to creating reels. So this is a really great way we can search for content here when it says, what will you design? You can type in here, reels, and it comes up with quite a few different reels options. So it's got Instagram reels videos, and then there's backgrounds. So there's quite a few, and they keep adding to these all the time. So if your list looks a bit different, they may have updated this. So if I click on Instagram reels videos, it comes back with a whole load of different templates that I can use. So there's quite a few choices there, which is really, really cool. The other good thing about the templates is that stories are the same dimension as reels. So if you want to use the Instagram story templates, they're also really fantastic. And at this stage, there are actually more stories templates than reels templates. So I'm going to go into using a blank template rather than choosing one here. I find when I look through these templates, it's really overwhelming and I kind of like, oh, I don't know what I want to do. So what I tend to do is choose a blank template. So I'm going to click on this here. And when I click on that template, it opens a new tab in what we call the Design Studio. So really, really handy for that to happen. Right, now that we're in the Design Studio, we're looking at a blank canvas, okay? And one of the first things I always do is I always name my project that I'm working on. So up on the top right-hand side here, there's a little spot that says Untitled Design Your Story. And I'm going to call this, Who is Sarah? And I'm going to call it Reel. Okay, so I know really clearly this is what I'm going to do. It's always a good idea to have some idea what you're going to be creating your reel about before you get started. Otherwise, it's a little bit overwhelming and it's kind of like sort of swimming along with no idea where you're going. If you're out in the ocean, you can get lost very quickly. So I've got my blank screen here, and the great news about it is that I have lots of templates to choose from. So if I go to the left-hand side here, there's a little icon called Templates. And I can look through the templates, which again, it shows you kind of what's trending at the moment. And you can have a little look through some of these. It will always show you if they are multiple pages or if they have got pro versions in them. So see if it's got the little crown and it says pro. That means that you need Canva Pro to use that, or some of the features in it will be paid. So we'll try and stick with free things today and have a look and see what happens. But if you are looking for what I like multiple pages, it's a good idea to type in here, multi, and it will bring up all of the different templates that have got more than one page. So see how it says page 1 of 13, and this one's page 1 of 4. So they've got a few pages on them. So it's a great idea to start with multiple pages because it means you have to do less work. So I'm going to click on this little one here. It looks quite pretty. And you can see that it gives me 4 different pages. Now, if I want to use all 4 of these for my reel, I simply click Apply All 4 Pages. And then on the right-hand side here, it brings in all 4 pages for me. So you can see if I scroll down, all of the 4 pages are there. Really, really handy. Now, I basically have a reel ready to go, okay? So that's the good news, is that then creates me a reel that's really, really easy for me to edit and create. However, it doesn't really look like me and my brand. So there are a couple of ways that you can update to look like your brand, depending on what you've got set up or if you've got a free or pro account. But anywhere that there is a color, if you click on it, it will show you up on the top left here a little square, and that says that background color is like a really pale white. So if I click on that, I can then see the choices of palettes that I have. So it shows me the photo palettes, the default palettes, and then my brand kit. So I might like to make it my light gray, which suits all of me. That's really, really handy. I then might want to change this little blob up here. So I click on that so the blue box comes around it. I go up to the top left here where it's got the color. I click on that and I might change that to my pink. Now, because I've added multiple pages, down the bottom here, it says, would I like to change everywhere that there's like, let's call it Snow White, to pink? I'm going to say yes. And suddenly it'll change all of the pages to add that pink to it. So it's a really, really quick way to do that. The other way in which you can apply your brand kit in a very quick manner is on the left-hand side here, you have styles. And this is if you have your brand kit applied. So if I click Online Social Butterfly, it applies my brand kit and I can shuffle the colors around till I think I like it. And that looks quite good. I can then apply Poppins Bold, and those are my 2 fonts, and then it applies those for me. So very quickly, in a couple of clicks, I have my brand colors and I have my brand fonts. What I then want to do is I just want to apply that to all pages. Sorry, I didn't do that. All right, so now I've got a document that's really starting to look very Online Social Butterfly-y. Do you like that? It's a made up word. So let's have a little look at how we can now make this a little bit exciting. So there are quite a few tools in Canva that you can add to make what we call video features. The first one is that I can click on a page. So if I'm clicking on something, remember I always want the blue box outline it. So I've outlined the whole page and I have the option to animate it. And animations, as you can see, some are free and some are paid. And as I hover over each one, it shows me what it looks like. Okay, so it creates that movement for me. And what I need to do is decide what I would like it to look like. It is my recommendation that your home page or your front page of your reel does not have animations on it, because it'll often render incorrectly and people won't be able to see it because Instagram saves it and maybe some of the letters haven't appeared. So I try not to put any animations on my front page. I tend to start on page 2 and then I try out a few. And again, this is personal choice. So what appeals to you and what do you like? I might go with like tumble looks kind of fun. I might go with that. So that's a way of adding some movement, and I can apply it to all pages like that. But remember, on my home page, I didn't want any animation, so I can then go and remove it on my home page. Now that I've added that animation, it actually then shows me that that's going to take 5 seconds on that page up here. See, it's got 5 seconds. And then on the top right, it says this reel is now 20 seconds long. So I can then change the time on that because 5 seconds is quite long. I'm going to make it like 3 and I'm going to apply that to all 4 pages. So now suddenly it's 12 seconds. If I'd like to have a look to see if that's like long enough for people to be able to read, I simply click on it and it creates a preview here. So then I kind of like go, oh, that looks quite nice. I'm quite happy with how that works. There's probably not enough time to read some of it, but that's okay. So I can then close that. So that's one way of adding movement. The second way is we can change the letters to make them move. So you have to actually click on the letters. So remember, blue box around it. So I've clicked on it and I then go up to animate and I have text animations. One of my favorites is typewriter. And to be fair, we use it a lot in Instagram stories, which is probably why it's so popular. So I can add that to that text. And then if we preview it, you will then see that not only will my whole thing drop in, but that becomes a typewriter. So that's another way of adding animations to it. The other thing that we can do is we can change static images to videos. So I've got a static image here, which is kind of cute, but a wee bit boring. So I can go down to the menu that says videos and I can search for a video. So I might search for a woman on a laptop, because that's my people, and see what comes up. And let's have a little look. I quite like the idea of just being able to see the hands rather than someone's face. So I get that. I hold on to it once I've left mouse clicked. I drag it in and it slides over the top there. If I'm happy with that placement, that's great. But if I'm not, I can double click on it and I can render it left or right, depending on if it's portrait or landscape. So I might move it over a little bit so we see a bit more of the hands and a bit less of the flowers. And once I'm happy with that, I click done. Now that video is 18.8 seconds. So see up in the top left here, it tells me the length. If that's too long, which let's be honest, it probably is, you can do some minor video editing in Canva. Okay, so I click on this and I can actually shorten the length of it by moving this in. We might make it about 3 seconds and then I click done once I'm happy with that. So that's added that little piece of video content but kept it quite short, so it's only still 12 seconds. That's great. So that's another way of adding different bits of video content. Another great way to add movement is under elements. We can add some graphics in there. So if we go to different menus called graphics, and then I could add something like sparkles. Sorry, sparkles, because like the world needs more sparkles. It gives you all the different animations, and remember, it'll show you if it's free or pro. So we'll go with the free one, and we're going to add that sparkle, and we might put that in the top left here. So it looks really cute. And then I can add some more here just to make it a little bit more interesting on that page. So with animations that are available in Canva, whilst you can add them and edit them in terms of size, you cannot change the color of them. So that's a really simple way to do that. So that's how we can add some movement to our video. So my reel is now 12 seconds. So we can have a little preview of it to see how it's going. And I'm pretty happy with how that's looking. It's come together quite nicely. There's a nice bit of movement, lots of text, and it's kept it really, really simple. So that looks really good, that video actually, at the end there. So that's worked really, really well. So the key now, if you've created a reel that you like, is to download it. So remember, if you want it to be available on your Canva app, what you want to do is go File and just press Save. And I find that that extra step means that when you go to the Canva app, it will be available in your saved files. So always click save. If you just want to send it to yourself via email, you can download it, and you'll always download it as an MP4 file. So that's some of the features in terms of creating our reels nice and quick and simple. Remember, try not to create too much movement. We don't want our letters and our whole everything moving and flying and being really complicated and hard for people to read. Try and stick with kind of a couple of moving elements per kind of page. So this one's got 2 at the moment. That's probably loads. And the final thing that I would say is you can add your music in Canva. So if we go to the left-hand menu, there is a menu called Audio. And in Audio, there is lots of different music that you can listen to. You can cut and splice it into your reel. And so if you kind of feel like I just want to get it done, you can do that in here. However, as I mentioned in the presentation part, it is always my recommendation that we use the audio that is available within Instagram, because we can choose music that is trending, and that will help our reel get more reach. So that pretty much brings us to the end of today's class. So I wanted to just say thank you so much for tuning into this Canva Classroom. I hope that you have enjoyed it. It has without doubt been one of my most popular classes, and I will always update it when there are changes made, so you know that you're always watching the most current information in terms of Canva and Instagram. If you create a reel based on what you have learned in today's class, please tag me on Instagram. I am Online Social Butterfly. I love to see what people have created. I love to cheer you on. I'll come and follow you and share your reel onto my stories. I'm wishing you all the very best, and I hope that this class has given you the confidence to step forward, create reels nice and quickly and simply using Canva. Thanks for listening to me. Have a great day.